Dr. Martha Chen, Martha Ben, Rinana ji, Lucy, and with the most distinguished audience that I have today. I would like to begin by thanking Chandni Ben for her very kind and generous words. I do not know that I really deserve her kindness and her praise. I say so because being here is a very humbling and very inspiring experience. What I just heard from what Lucy said and what Martha Ben said is so, it's so engrossing, and so it just plunges you into middle of the kind of work that home-based workers have been doing and their challenges. So it's a great opportunity for me, and I at the outset thank Hansa, HomeNetSouthAsia, and Viego for organizing this and for considering me fit to come and speak to you. It's a real privilege and an honor, and I say this from the bottom of my heart. I'm delighted to see heads of Sabha in South Asian nations present here, along with such a large representative group of women workers. This is a historic occasion where the home-based workers from the continents are represented here, and first of its kind. I must say that one of the most rewarding things about my tenure as SARC SG was the rare opportunity to be associated with SEWA and Hansa in pursuing a project in South Asia of women-based, home-based workers. And I deeply cherish that association. May I also add my words of welcome to the home-based women workers, not only from South Asia, but from the world at large, and the organizations that have made it possible. Beneath the riches and splendor of the globalization hype, there lies vast deprivation spread over nations and peoples whose basic needs, aspirations, and challenges are the same. In my talk today, I'd like to begin with South Asia, the role of women in peace building, and the particular importance in this context of bringing together the women workers who belong to the marginalized and the most impoverished, even though they may be veritable repository of incredible talents and art heritage coming down from generations. The South Asian region today, seen from the top, looks at crossroads. One way from here goes towards greater regional cooperation, engagement, and growing together, as other regions in the world have done. And the other is to remain trapped and injured in the distrust, rivalry, and inertia of a zero-sum game which politicians practice. So many factors point to the wisdom of the former and the dreary barrenness of the latter. Women in all countries in South Asia are crucial stakeholders on this road towards peace and prosperity. As Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus said, women worry and care about livelihood, family, and children, while men often think of only enjoying. As statistics compiled by various international organizations indicate, the overall indices about the status of women in countries of South Asia are woefully poor. In fact, for some areas, the statistics show South Asia in regard to literacy, life expectancy, employment, crime against women, as being the worst in the world. Half of South Asian women cannot read. It is here that I draw great inspiration from the work of SEWA in this regard and the devotion and leadership of Ella Ben. Permit me to quote from her essay, which I read recently, to reflect the essence of commitment. And I quote, "Our goal is the well-being of poor women, their families, their work, their community, and the world we all live in. Gandhiji said that freedom is not given, it is generated within oneself. My experience is that women's work is that guarantee of freedom coming from within, unquote. The SAARC Social Charter talked about in 2004 the Millennium Development Goals and adopted them for the SAARC region as SAARC Development Goals, which include respect to women in South Asia as a major factor for peace. The vision of peace, stability, and prosperity is more far-reaching and deeper than mere absence of conflict. Alongside the top-down approach of official summits and high-level diplomatic engagements, peace building and guaranteeing stability in South Asia warrants that member states in the region also adopt a bottoms-up vision to grow together in cooperation, build bridges of engagement for mutual benefit, and harness their commonality at the very grassroots. The region's growth is also critically dependent on fuller engagement and development of women. Women's economic development, literacy, health, equal rights vis-à-vis men under law, and protection from crime are essential for social stability. Actually, their education and empowerment, wherever it has happened in pockets and areas, they have made a difference. For instance, in the state of Kerala in India, in Sri Lanka, and in growing parts of central and eastern Bangladesh. Women in general have shown greater capability to reach out in compassion and empathy. Thus, peace in South Asia is tied to women's empowerment and their attainment of the SAARC development goals. The project in South Asia, in SAARC and SAARC Development Fund, which Rinana Ben mentioned and Chandniji also mentioned, was started in 2008, and it is actually going on, and as she rightly mentioned, it's a flagship project of the SAARC Development Fund. The objectives of the project are to build a strong supply chain and to generate employment at each stage of the supply chain, along with building up of a social business organization in each member state, and to make it sustainable and capable of further expansion so as to generate increased employment. It is also aimed at strengthening marketing power through collective marketing and branding efforts. The overall impact is expected to promote development and inclusive growth through sharing of experiences and learning from each other's successes, and building a model of empowerment of women through crafts making and marketing to be replicated afterwards in other sectors. This would deepen relationship among the SAARC member states based on learning and sharing. And you've already heard about Sabha, which was created for this purpose. It was felt in the beginning that Sabha should focus on particular products. The Pakistan home-based workers, for instance, were highly skilled in embroidery, including fulkari. Sabha Pakistan began with focusing on developing textiles-based embroidery-intensive products. In Nepal, natural fibers occupied a large number of home-based workers. So Sabha Nepal focused on natural fibers and weaving-based products. In Sri Lanka, Sabha Sri Lanka would promote food processing and spice-based products. Sabha Bangladesh has concentrated on textiles, weaving, and katha embroidery. This Sabha project is a unique one. It has a unique mission based on the concept of sharing and collaborating. It has encouraged home-based workers across member states to closely interact with their counterparts. So it is not difficult even to think about building a common made in SAARC brand with product tags proudly stating this by line. I've spent a lot of years in diplomacy and trying to connect at that level And still, by heart, I feel like I always felt that engagement is better than alienation. And but when we deal with South Asia, we have to deal with this mound of problem of alienation at the top. But I must say that my experience with which Seva's project and Hansa and Sabha enabled me to have is to be in touch with the women from South Asia, the home-based workers. And I can tell you without exaggeration, in sincerity and with full sincerity, that meeting them was really uplifting. We had organized at the 10th SAARC, at the 16th SAARC summit in Bhutan, in first exhibition of the Sabha products. And these women came from different areas, and they were displaying their wares. And they had extraordinary skill and art. So when the heads of state and governments were taken into that exhibition hall, they were stunned by the quality of the output. And still the simplicity. The Pakistani Prime Minister Gilani then asked the lady from Pakistan in Urdu, "Kahan bana hai? Where is this made?" And she said in utter sincerity and innocence, "SAARC mein bana hai ji. It is made in SAARC." Now that kind of a spontaneous connection and engagement, it comes so easily to these women. I've seen in Nepal, they took me to the place where they were working. Women came from far-flung areas in Nepal where traffic and transport is not easy. And a lady was working for the weaving, and she was working on that very special grass. And her baby was sitting next to her on a little pram. And when I asked her how she was, she said, "I'm all right, I'm happy, I have my child here." So their joys are so simple, and so still they connect to us from the bottom, and they deliver something which we cannot do. So I am full with that kind of a feeling, because I find that in this kind of an association which you are building, this home-based workers, the emotional intelligence which multinationals and management people talk about actually reaches its culmination and completeness. And the presentation by Mata Ben just now, the way she described the challenges, the way she described all aspects of the work and how they are struggling at every stage, it shows that despite these things, work is continuing and you are able to overcome. So I just wanted to emphasize this aspect. And in most communities in South Asia, again, as Mata Ben said, women tend to be restricted in their homes, restricted in their movements, and restricted in their opportunities. When they join an organization, it opens their energies, creates opportunities, and leads to empowerment. Although the restrictions continue, they begin to build up support, leading to changes in their families and their communities. As the poet W.H. Auden said about the grandmasters, I say it applied to the women, that about suffering, they are never wrong. Bringing poor women from different countries together in recent years for a wide range of purposes also shows that women come together very naturally in spite of the tensions that exist between their countries. And I'll give you an example. A woman worker of Sakhar district in Pakistan noted at an initial skills training program hosted by HomeNetSouthAsia and Seva, and I quote, this is what that lady said: "One woman from my village came to my home and told my husband, 'How can you allow her to go? It would be the first time anyone from this village would be going out of the country. And that too, India. You know the situation there?' But before I could answer, my son said, Someone has to be the first, and I'm proud that it is my mother, unquote. Now, this simple narrative from a person who came from Sakar to Ahmedabad to learn this the initial training thing shows the grit and the determination. Within SAARC, as well as one of the key concerns is how to build cooperative ties across the countries of South Asia. To date, efforts toward the cross-country integration under SAARC auspices take place on multiple levels: government to government, business associations, professional associations, journalists, doctors, and lawyers, cultural exchanges, music, film, dance, and through many other types of exchanges, often involving elite groups. However, the types of interaction that takes place through organizations like the HomeNet and Seva and Sabha involve those who are near the bottom of social and economic ladder, which makes such exchanges and alliances across SAARC countries of common people particularly important. After hearing Lucy, I find what she was talking is exactly what we feel in South Asia. So there is this bond and commonality across countries. And it provides, as Yeats said, the rag and bone shop of the heart where all ladders start. The friendship and alliances that you're going to produce in the coming days with deeper and wider effects far outweigh any diplomatic efforts of building bridges. So I am very confident that in the coming days, in these 2 days that you have agreed to get together, this will be very useful and fruitful exercise. And I have no doubt that in these days, sharing of experiences and learning from each other will transcend the immediate region and reach out in a wider world for greater mutual benefit. So be it. I thank you.